Good morning and welcome on a live African safari here at Djuma Private Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands. My name's Brent. We've got Brian on and the thumb, can't forget the thumb, on camera, and we've got Alex and Nikki in FC. Welcome. We're sitting at Buffelshoek Dam at the moment. Just for those of you who might have been with us last night, a quick update. We could actually hear the Nkuhuma Pride for the majority of the night calling as they move further north. Unfortunately, we tracked their tracks and they've crossed across our northern boundary. So we're now, when in doubt, come to Buffelshoek Dam. So we just came to sit here quietly, see if we could hear any alarm calls. And as you saw, there's a heron who's made a kill. Looks like a common platana, a type of frog. And we're going to get going shortly, see what else we can find. And for those of you who might be new, please remember we are interactive. We can take your questions while we're on drive. And how you get your questions to us, you can email them to questions@WildEarthTV, or you can just use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter. So that heron's still flicking that frog around. And the reason it's doing that is platanas have very, very sharp claws. And I'll see if So it's trying to make sure it's very dead. A couple of you might have watched, quite a while ago, we watched a hammerkorp, which is a small species of heron, killing platanas in a drying up pan. And it's the same species of frog, and you can see the heron is making sure it's dead before it tries to swallow it, because it will scratch the inside of its mouth quite badly. So the platana is probably one of our most aquatic frogs we get. They spend the majority of their life in water, and unlike a lot of frog species we get here that will spend quite a bit of time, water's drying up and they're moving from one water source to another. So those of you wondering what a platana looks like, you can't really see, but there are very, very sharp claws on them. I think they've been the inspiration for a few aliens in Hollywood movies. Very funny looking frogs. It's like looks almost like Jabba the Hutt. Okay, so let's move on, see what else we can find. Morning, Virginia. Before we head off, Virginia is asking, what is the heron doing with the frog? is it cleaning it when it dips it back into the water. The platanas are very, very slimy, so it is possible it is cleaning it. And the other option is as it's trying to kill it in its beak and it starts bleeding, you can actually see a bit of blood there. It's just washing off the blood so it doesn't get slippery and drop it. Oh, see, there, I nearly dropped it there. I think it's nearly ready. Maybe just wait a few more minutes. Nearly ready to swallow it, I think. Good morning, Bob from Iowa. Bob would like me to describe the ecosystem of the pond we're sitting at right now. So Bob, this is not a completely natural ecosystem. These were made a long time ago, probably in the 60s, 70s, when we didn't quite understand the repercussions of this. And so what it is it gathers water from 2 drainage lines during the rainy season that will flow into it, and it holds the water, and it does become quite an important place now. It has been around long enough that the animals know it as a permanent water source, although it can past. But very, very simple ecosystem here. It'll be a very sandy and muddy bottom. We'll have catfish and tilapia will be the 2 main species, as well as some smaller minnows and barbs. And quite interesting, the catfish can actually walk up to quite a few kilometers to get to water sources. By one. And so you have the hippo that defecate in the water. They'll provide quite a lot of food for your tilapia, which are more vegetation eaters, and there will be some algae and whatnot. There's probably feeding on where there's fallen down logs and stuff that'll be in the water. The algae will grow in there, and your herbivore fish, the barbs, they'll feed on this. Your catfish are detritus eaters, so they'll feed on pretty much anything. They also are predators, but they will feed on anything from the other smaller fish to dung, to rotting carcasses, to insects. Insect species in a system like this will probably be quite limited. You'll have water boatmen of various different sizes, probably water scorpions, some snail species, and maybe even freshwater mussels. And how things like freshwater mussels and your smaller fish species get here, the eggs get stuck on the legs of aquatic birds, and they're transported to these pans and dams that are not connected to main rivers, so there's no sort of natural flow. But very important in one of these is that the bush around it is very much managed, so to speak, by the elephants. So because of the water here, you'll find the areas that are quite open around the dam, and that's by big herds of elephants and buffalo coming to these areas to drink. You can see he's finished the frog. Bob, I hope that helps you get a bit of an understanding of the ecosystem of one of these dams. Very different from a freshwater pan, which is a natural thing. But as I said, these dams have been here for so long now that for the animals they are part of the natural environment. Stations, my radio has been down for about 10. Are there any updates, please? Currently at Buffelshoek Dam. I'm going to take Hippo Pools and then Drakensberger. We had in Konzo my daughter Ingrid there late yesterday afternoon from during the day. Tracks around the edges of the dams. Specifically now, well, there's quite a bit of water from the late rain we had, but still a lot of animals will utilize this as a spot to drink. So just to fill you in, so we heard it's 10:30 before I passed out. And when they started calling, they were definitely almost exactly where we left them. But they only started calling at about 8 o'clock last night. And we could hear it was the females. It's not as sort of deep and as loud as a male lion. And it's quite interesting. I think there's possibly some interesting times ahead with the lion prides. More pride, and they've started pushing further to the north. So, and those two Styx lionesses have been pushing in from the south. So this is the first time I've actually heard the Nkuhuma pride vocalize on Gowrie, which is on Djuma. So I think we've got some interesting times ahead. So they just came back, made some noise. Even though they haven't spent that much time here. So for those of you wondering, this morning, 17 degrees Celsius, so it's mid 70s Fahrenheit. Quite a bit of moisture in the air, 91% humidity. We're hoping that moisture holds off while we're on drive, but it is possible we might get a few spots of drizzle while we're out. Good morning for the cats to be moving, nice and cool. So what I'm doing now is, this is an area that we do see Karula in quite often. For those of you who don't know who Karula is the dominant female leopard in this area. I haven't seen her for probably 2 weeks. And we do think she might be pregnant at the moment. So it'd be really, really interesting to catch up with her again, and to have a look if she is pregnant, because that's very exciting for us if she does have another litter of cubs in this area. And because it's quite cool and damp, the bush has got quite a nice smell this morning. It's a very clean and fresh smell. Every now and then we catch a whiff of wild sage and fresh buffalo dung. especially now where we are. The sort of morning chorus of birds is taking a little bit longer to get going this morning, so I'm sure hopefully as the sun might burn off a bit of this cloud cover, the bird life's going to come alive. Everyone is new, you might check me tracks specifically of the predators, so the animals we're really keen to see. We'll also check for elephants, but hopefully I have a good enough tracker I don't have to lean over and squint at the ground to see an elephant track. Particularly looking for leopard tracks at the moment. All we've got is buffalo tracks so far. So what I'm going to do, there's two roads that run quite closely parallel to each other. One is our eastern boundary and this one. So I'm going to zigzag between the two roads just to make sure that while we're looking for leopard tracks here, the leopard hasn't decided to walk on the road parallel to this. There's an emerald-spotted wood dove in the road. Quite an important bird for us when we're tracking, because they're generally the... If we find sort of tracks that have been walked over a lot by the dove, we know that it's definitely before sort of 6-ish in the morning. And if we find tracks on top of the dove tracks, we know that they're very fresh. And here come two young impala, two young boys. Fresh with the early morning joy of life. So for those of you who might be new, we are live from the African bush. You are saying exactly what I'm saying. And also we are interactive. We can take your questions. And you can send us questions by using email. And the email address is questions@wildearth.tv. Or if you're on Twitter, just use the hashtag SafariLive. So anyway, we're in a zigzag between these two roads. Whether I prefer morning or evening drives. Well, I like both, Donna. That's the wonderful thing about doing what I do. Sorry, Donna, I will be with you in a second. Aha! The tracks of a male leopard. I'll turn the car on first. I don't know if you can get in on those ones that we're a bit close by. I'll point them out now. Probably the clearest one. Gonna give us something to follow. I'm quite excited to go have a look. Around here, so Donna would like to know whether I like morning or evening drives best. And I was just saying I like both, but from a tracking point of view, the morning drive is always a bit nicer because you've had the work with. So these tracks to me look like they're quite early in the morning, so I know I've got a good chance of being able to follow them. But what we do quite often is we'll use the morning drive to set up the evening drive. So if you find a leopard in the morning, you know he's probably going to rest and for that last hour or so as it gets cooler in the afternoon. It's always a great time to follow big cats as it's possibly quarantine or Djuma, the young male leopards that so we're just going to check now. He definitely didn't onto this road here, and there's another junction coming up, so we'll see whether he went north or carried on south. Doesn't look like he went south. Brian just caught a brief glimpse of a chagra, black around Chagra. So quite a nice idea now is that we know there's leopard tracks in the area. Just sit quietly for a minute or so and see what we can hear. And now we can hear that dawn chorus that says as it gets a bit warmer, all the birds start making a noise. And there's quite a nice bird call that I know I've taught some of you guys before. So I'm going to see who can remember what it is, which bird makes the call. Three blind mice. Three blind mice. Who can remember which bird makes that call? You can send your answers to questions at WildEarthTV, or if you're on Twitter, you can just use the hashtag SafariLive. Good morning, Marianne from Boston. Welcome on Drive this morning. Marianne would like me to remind her how I can tell the difference between the tracks of a male opposed to a female. Well, Marianne, it's size pretty much. Female's got much smaller tracks, and even with the young male leopard, his tracks are already bigger than his mom by about a year old. So that's why I say these are not quite as big as sort of a dominant male leopard, like Mvula, who's the dominant male leopard in this area, would be, but they're definitely bigger than a female's. Here we go. We found the tracks again. So that's how I know it's a male. You just let the game drive radios know where the tracks are. In case someone's working in this area to the west of us, they might find tracks a kilometer or two, so it cuts down the time we need to find the animals. Stations in Konzo of Madore Ingwe, heading west on Central from Drakensberg cut line, Drakensberg Junction. I'm following up. So as you can see, the road's quite hard here, which can bit difficult. That's why I'm going quite a bit slower. But a lot of tracking is educated guesswork. So I'm pretty sure the leopard, with the amount of dew in the water, it's not going to go off the road unless there's something for it to try eat. So I'll scoot on. I won't look too hard until we get to the next patch of soft sand, then I'll have a good look again. And the tracks are still there. This is quite a difficult road to track in now after the rain. There's quite a lot of clay. So after the rain and the vehicles, it's quite difficult to see. Not seeing any tracks at the moment. Could be working in the middle where it's even harder with the grass. General direction is still this way, so we're going to continue on and see if we where where this leopard might be heading towards. There we go, tracks are back. Well done, Raisa, Joanne and Shanae. You guys are the first three to get the answer in. I'm sure there are lots of you out there. And Shanae, well done, guys. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention it was a chin spot batis. 3 blind mice. Very pretty little flycatcher species. And the tracks have gone off the road. I think they've headed off towards this big drainage system here to the left. So I'm going to go have a look on the edge of the drainage line. Good morning, Trent from Fiji. Trent would like to know, what is the most difficult animal to track? Well, probably a field mouse, Trent, but it's possibly the most difficult animal to track. I've tracked a leopard before that's sort of just really fresh tracks and just keeps ahead of you. They hear you coming, see you coming, and they just sneak off. But also another animal that's quite difficult to track is African wild dog, and that's because they move so quickly through an area. So you can be on fresh tracks, but in the space of 20 minutes they can move 10 kilometers, which makes them very difficult to track. This drainage line is quite ideal, leopard country. We're just going to go a little bit slowly, look down into the drainage, hopefully spot. Well, it looks like the sun's in. Might have a bit of a sunny morning after all. Hopefully that little bit of drizzle stays away. Just thought I heard something there for a second. Nope, false alarm. to Steph coming. There's been some elephants here overnight as well. Well, it doesn't look like there are any tracks of this leopard coming out of this block. And I just heard over the radio that there's a big herd of elephants not too far from us. It could even be the same herd that we were with yesterday evening, with that little elephant bull who likes to jump on. So I think we'll go have a quick look in that area and then go back to searching for leopard afterwards. Station with coming in North Weaver's Nest, elephant skull coming. Well, let's head into that area and go see what we can find. I have one last check in the drainage line here for those leopard tracks. The signal can get a little bit bad in patches in the drainage line, but hopefully the satellite ferries are having the morning off today. I really do love driving these dry riverbeds. So it changes your whole perspective because you're sort of lower than the grass for once, sort of eye level with everything that might be around here. Leopards. Of elephants crossed just over there. It's amazing, just before the rain we noticed the elephants starting to dig for water in this riverbed rather than drink the very muddy water in the dams. But that little bit of rain and they've gone back to not digging. male leopard tracks. Heading straight down there. So I'm just going to have a quick look down here, around here to see which direction that leopard went. Finish line. Oh, it's all happening at this junction. And a male lion track as well. I have a quick squiz around on foot here, just next to the vehicle. I'll come back and show you that, how big that lion track is. Can't see where the leopard's going, but I'll go have a look now. But because it's in the sand, but my hand fits completely in it, so it's always going to look bigger in the sand. But definitely, I wonder where these guys came from. I didn't hear any male lions calling last night. Interesting. All happening in the Mulwati this morning. But just looking at that track, it's a bit old, so definitely not as fresh as the leopard tracks. So I think we're going to continue on the leopard tracks. Steph coming. At Mamba Junction. Copy, thanks. I'll let you know. at the bottom of this drainage line. So we apologize for that. So it doesn't look like these leopard tracks have continued further. Oh. I'm gonna jump out. Oh. What's that? Young male Inyala. He'd let us know if there was a leopard around here. He doesn't like it when leopards are around. Just checking us out, making sure. So you can see how vigilant he is. Watch his ears moving constantly. Just trying to pick up any sign or sound of danger. Because they do spend quite a lot of time in these riverine thickets on the edge of the drainage line, which is also a favorite haunt of the leopards. So he's got to be alert. With that confirm what's their position at the moment. So confirm there's also an Ingrid in that position. I'm busy trying to establish now. So So we're just double checking where those leopard tracks might have gone. we'll go have a look there now. Just a leopard-like stump in the grass. So there's no trucks coming through. We're going to scoot around this block. So I think we're just going to take a little break from tracking the leopards and go have a look at that herd of elephants. Roy coming. I can't seem to find where it's come out of the Morathi onto Twin Downs, but general direction was south towards Twin Downs. I'm going to go booger those go off quick, and then I'll head back onto Lankonzo. Last tracks are in the Morathi at Mamba Junction on the northern side. Roy, what's the update for Safari and Dal this morning? Copy, thanks. I see them. Definitely thought I heard a branch breaking there. It'll be interesting to see if it is the same big herd from yesterday. So for those of you who might have just logged in or are new to this, we are on a live game drive in the African bushveld in the Sabi Sands of South Africa, which is part of the Greater Kruger National Park. And at the moment, we're bundu bashing to get to a herd of elephants. I can see an elephant now directly in front of me. And we are also interactive. You can ask us questions while we're on game drive, and you can do that via email. The email you can use is questions@wildearth.tv, or if you're on Twitter, you can just use the hashtag Safari Live. Just going to try to get ourselves in the best position for you guys to have a look at the ellies. I can't see whether this is the same group we saw yesterday yet. I need to have a look at a few more individuals before we can be sure, but I think it might be this big female to my right. We'll have a look at now. Her tusks look to be those very long, very symmetrical ones that we saw yesterday. One of the bath crew who are having an elephant spy day. You can see the cows just lifting her trunk, smelling us, checking if we're a threat or not. So when you are this close to elephants, not elephants less than 5 meters from us, it's very important to not try and move or make too big noises with the car. Those sounds can be taken as aggression by an elephant. And we've got an inquisitive little fellow who's probably around a year old, maybe a bit younger. He's coming a bit closer to us, behind the safety of a and there she is there. They are funny little creatures, baby elephants, especially like him where he hasn't quite mastered the use of his trunk yet. So it flops around. Just going to move the vehicle a little bit. She's heard something. That's quite often you see elephants. They stop moving completely, stop flapping their ears. They're listening, and there you can see a little guy who's practicing with his trunk. Good morning, Lisa. Lisa would like to know whether I've ever watched a rhino or a hippo have a battle with an elephant. I've seen elephants chase hippo, and chase rhino, but the only and he actually physically pushed it and hurt the buffalo quite badly. But that's the only one I've actually seen physically. Hippo, I've seen them chase. Zebra, impala, specifically the young bulls. He uses his foot there to help break that branch. Now, he's actually going to sort of watch how it turns and so what they're doing. I don't actually think this is the female we watched, but I think her tusks aren't long enough. But she definitely does have a little boy as well. So he's showing us how big and tough he is. Wonderful to have these big herds of elephant around. Gentle giants. Of course, there's a lot of, and also just depends on the individual herd on the day. And we can just see by the body language of these ones that they're very relaxed with us around the vehicle. But even then, still, we always move the vehicle very slowly, keep our revs low, and try to keep your voice as constant as possible. No shouting, screaming, dancing. We'll leave that to the little elephants. And you can see immediately when you're not relaxed. There's no need to harass them, rather move away. There's no need to annoy the elephants. As you can see, this particular herd is very relaxed and almost completely unperturbed with our presence. Except for us being quite a interesting distraction to the little guy. Good morning, Catherine from Dallas. Catherine would like to know, is there any difference between African and Asian elephants? Yes, Catherine, quite a large difference. Their skin color is quite different. Their skin's quite different. You'll notice the Asian elephants will get those pink spots on their forehead. Their tusks are shaped differently. Their head shapes differently, and their trunk is even shaped differently. And unfortunately, I don't know that much about Asian elephants. But if I remember correctly, I think the African elephants are slightly bigger on average. But I will double check for you. But between the two variations of African elephant, there is quite a lot of difference as well. Between the forest elephants and the savanna elephants. So the forest elephants are physically quite a lot smaller. A really big forest elephant bull will be the same size as an average savanna elephant cow. Their ivory is different shaped. It's focused far more straight down, and this is to enable them to move better in those thick rainforests. They are very, very cute. So you can see there's still a little bit of body fuzz on, so he's actually probably quite well below a year. He's making his way back towards mom. Maybe you see she's just stopped to listen to something again. I mean, they keep dead still. Incredible ears. No, she heard me. One of the main differences, I'm just doing a bit of research here while we watch the elephant, in terms of temperament, Asiatic elephants have been domesticated for over 3,000 years. There's been attempts to sort of domesticate the African elephants, and there is in recent history, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, forest elephants they tried to use forest elephants for logging operations. An African elephant is supposed to be far more temperamental of the two, between the Asiatic and the African, so it's very difficult to use them domestically like they do with the Asian elephants. But even though the forest elephants and the savanna elephants look quite different, they are able to crossbreed, so they are not separate species. It's just an area variation. And on the boundaries of the rainforest and the savanna, you get sort of in between it. So it looks almost like a cross between the two. Oh, here we go. There's another interesting difference in the between the Asian and African elephant. It's to do with the trunk. So the African elephant has two sort of little prehensile tips, both on the upper and lower side of the trunk, whereas the Asiatic elephant only has one. Here we go, talking about the trunk. You can see that there's diagrams of the differences between the Asiatic elephant, which is up top, with a one little prehensile tip, and then the African elephant that's got two prehensile tips. Stop listening again for a second. Watch her, she's going to turn that branch, or maybe not. Decided the branch wasn't tasty enough. Listening again. Could be listening to other elephants, or could be here far away, or could be hearing something else that obviously, with their hearing being far superior to ours, we're not picking up on. And there's the little guy still practicing how to use his trunk, developing all those muscles. Good morning, Norm from Michigan. Norm would like to know, even though we can't hear it, is there any way we can tell that elephants are communicating at a low frequency? Norm, not that I've ever noticed. You can hear them when they do communicate, that sort of low rumble, that but there is obviously lower frequencies, and they can do it while they're moving and walking, so it is very difficult to tell if they are communicating in a frequency that's lower than what we can hear. Now you can see why elephant needs so many sets of teeth. Imagine chewing on hard pieces of wood like they do. The teeth will wear down. They have 6 sets of teeth in their life. For those of you who might be new, just to let you know that you are on a live African safari. You are seeing exactly what we see. And we are interactive. We can take your questions. And you can email us questions at WildEarthTV. Or you can just use the hashtag Safari Live if you're on Twitter. We will try to answer as many of your questions as possible. And we really do appreciate getting the questions. So there's a couple of questions, I think from Lynn, one of them, about what is on the baby's ears. I'm just trying to have a look what's on that baby elephant's ears. I can see a bit of mud from a mud bath on the ear closest to us. But we will have a proper look. Also, you must remember baby elephants do have quite a bit of sort of hair that will fall out as they get older. But I think what you guys are seeing there is definitely mud. So there's just some mud on the ears. Oh, it looks like the little one's getting a bit thirsty. Nope, just standing between mom's legs. Good morning, Anne, in Seattle. Anne would like to do they eat while they're waiting for the next set of teeth to come in? I'm trying to pen here so I can actually try to draw. And have a quick look in my box. I do have a pen. How that works. So, Anne, when they are waiting for the next set of teeth, their teeth are always coming. Oh, I don't have a pen, unfortunately. So their teeth are constantly coming through, so they can have two sort of half one set of teeth and the other, as the other half are sort of wearing down. And they come through from the bottom and around the front. It's quite difficult to describe. Unfortunately, I don't have a pen with me, or pencil. So, if you go have a look online, I'm quite sure you'll find a really good description or a picture is the best way to show how elephant teeth come from the bottom up. Okay, elephants, thanks very much. We're gonna go try to find some leopards now. The ellies look like they're gonna start moving off into some thicker bush, and we don't want to crash and bash around them and annoy them unnecessarily. So we're gonna move off. That was a nice little elephant interlude. Good morning, Carol from Florida. Carol would like to know why she was alone and could that be dangerous for the baby. Carol, she was actually just on the periphery of quite a big herd. The rest of the herd were in the thick bush. There was probably between 15 and 20 elephants around us there, but because of the bush and because she had the baby, we decided to spend the most time with her because she had the baby. Just for those who might be new, my name's Brent and we're on a live African safari. We've just spent a wonderful little bit of time. Move off, and the plan is now we're going to try and find some leopards. They've been eluding us for the last they eluded me yesterday, so hopefully we can rectify that this morning. So we're going to head towards a dam that's quite popular with leopards in this area, and hopefully find some tracks, and if nothing from there, we'll just keep checking. For tracks. If we don't have any tracks in this area, I think we might scoot across to Arathusa Private Game Reserve and see if there's possibly any sign of leopard to the west of us. So it's still quite cool, though the cloud seems to have lifted a little bit. Looks like the elephants have been doing some redecorating for us. Just gonna move it with the bonnet quickly. and again. And this one we definitely gonna have to move with the bonnet. Very, very thorny, and we don't want to leave our cameraman hanging on a tree.
These not.
Oopsie. Well, at least we can get around it now. We've had quite a lot of success in this area for leopard, so always come have a check around here when we haven't seen leopard for a while. A wonderful cool morning this morning, which is good for the cats. They might be moving a bit later than they normally would, so hopefully luck is on our side, and we still are going to find a leopard this morning. I've got a feeling we're going to find a leopard. I'm positive.